a little bit, some experience in Ethiopia, but we need more. Thank you.
Yeah, እንግሊዝኛ በአማርኛም በእንግሊዝኛም ይሆናል አይደል?
Yes. It's possible.
ኦኬ ነገር ጉዳዩ እንደዚህ ነው። ሶስት ነገሮች አሉ የምንነጋገርባቸው። አንደኛው ብዙ ነገሮች አሉ እና how do we put them together? That's good thing. So how do we bring it together? So we have a network already, and then this network will to thousands and thousands of educators, students. Everyone is involved. Everyone is a stakeholder. Your parents, it's the business of your parents. It is a business. Okay. So therefore, and agenda education picture. The only agenda in Ethiopia is education. So, ሶስት ነገሮች ነበር ማድረግ የፈለኩት። አክቹዋሊ ኢት ዊል ወርክ። አንደኛው በስቴም ኤጁኬሽን ላይ ያለው ስታተስ ነው። በስቴም ኤጁኬሽን ላይ ያለው ስታተስ በኢትዮጵያ በአሁኑ ጊዜ ብዙ ስቴም ሴንተርስ እየተቋቋሙ not sure how many STEM center. There is a STEM center here. There should be a STEM center. And I am involved with the STEM Synergy. There are two groups, by the way. STEM Power. I don't remember the guy who it's one person, I think. He is from the United States. And then he is the one who started one of the first STEM center in Bishoftu. I think they also have by the same person in Gondar and in Baka. And now there are several. And STEM Synergy has maybe about 20 of them around the country. They are still building. So what STEM Synergy will do, in general, they are, in November, they have a national STEM day. It's very well suited to host one of the centers and become some sort of a central place for the area schools. I think the last competition probably was won by Gondar. I think students from Gondar. How many participated in this area? We don't know. We will understand. So STEM. ትላልቆቹ ፕሮብለሞች በስቴም ያሉት ትላልቆቹ ፕሮብለሞች the resource issue. Robotics and things like that. Okay? Arduino ይባላል። እሱ በሃይሊ ፕሮፌሽናል ሊሆን ይችላል። ለልጆች ግን even by university level there is a smaller microcomputer that came. It's called the BBC microchip. It's a BBC microcomputer. I have some pictures to show you as soon as maybe after, if we have a get together after this. I can show you some of the things that I personally will using the little car running around, measuring temperature and things like that. You can actually connect that with remote control. By your own remote control at the house, you can control that car to little stuff. So the current STEM issue ሰዎች ብዙ ጊዜ ስቴም በሚባል ሳይንስ፣ ኢንጂነር፣ ቴክኖሎጂ there are critical standards. For example, when do you say you are actually doing that? አንዳንድ ጊዜ all of them, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, 4. Sometimes you can have both of them, science and technology together. You understand? So when you are in STEM, there are different levels of engagement. What are the... So therefore, as a premier education organization, Kotebe probably can be like the first organization in the those set of standards. For example, there is Florida schools have their own some sort of. I think they're probably the first in the U.S. to come up with set of standards. Michigan is also another famous area. Actually, we have a way to connect the Ethiopian schools with Michigan. Probably we'll use you, to go ahead and look at the Maryland or DC Metropolitan area school, how they can introduce. In fact, DC is a sister city for Addis Ababa. The mayor was here, right? The mayor was here. So we can use such connections, probably one, to get an understanding of what the standards are for STEM, standards for STEM. It is very easy to misunderstand what STEM is. So we have to have some standard. There are I have lots of very sad pictures, labs in Ethiopian schools. Have you been to a lab in an Ethiopian school? I usually embarrass people by asking questions. Hey, what's your name?
Brooktoid.
You.
Brooktoid.
Brooktoid. When were you at your school the last time? So some get embarrassed, telling telling their schools. Sometimes there are some people who forgot their schools. So አንድ ነገር ማወቅ ያለባቸው የኢትዮጵያ community, the power of the United States, let's say the power of the West, does not come from the money or the stuff that they exploited from Africa. That's not true. Their power, do you want me to tell them the secret? Their power came from volunteerism. They volunteer. United States does not have a standing army. It's a volunteer army. Yeah, she can be called to serve. Right? Are you? I know anybody can be called to serve if you are in there. So it's a volunteer. Volunteer neaz. You understand? Red Cross, all these things, they are volunteer organizations, volunteers, and at the same time they volunteer also 100% to their formal school. Harvard has an endowment probably 10 times the yearly budget of Ethiopia. One school. Where did that money come from? From the people who graduated from that school. Yano Poweraj. In our case, I always tell everybody, I'm a thief. I am a thief. Who should go to jail? Why is that I'm a thief? I learned my high school and elementary school, Ras Darge, Mikbal Nagar. Ras Darge as a love standard. Tamaran, Agarwas Adagan Badan, protect our government. University ገባን። ከዛ ኮሚኒስቶች ሆነ ምስምሱን አወጣንና ጥለን we are a thief. Diaspora. Oh, I don't like that name by the way. But they bet I would rather thief than a diaspora. So what happens is actually there is theft also among us. Let's be honest. When is the last time we went to your school and visited the lab and see the state of the schools? There are 800 schools in Amara region. 800 schools. They don't have a place to learn, so they learn under a shade of a tree. 800 schools. So do you blame this 800 school? Anybody coming out of 800 school, coming out with a stick and hitting anybody? Their education in Ethiopia is not necessarily the complication that is created by the politics. It is just because we don't care for it. That's it. We don't. On the other hand, if you go to Western countries, they support their school. My school is a small HBCU in North Carolina. Okay? It's about 10,000 students. 3 months before coming. There are no hotels. People come to support their school. Sabah University graduate Arabic, raise your hand. What do you support? What is your support for Sabah University? Nothing. Actually, they are not looking for you because they are not, you know what I mean? They don't know the value themselves. So Kotebe, Jamari Najar, when I heard about Kotebe, Ma'at Sauna Kotebe, Kazit Mulfit, Ma'at Tiblik Sauna. The thing to do is bring them in so that they can support the school. So that's your income. If you can get money, say $1 million from your alumni and supporters, and then an additional $1 million can come from the government because you already have started something. They can match it for you. So that's important. So in what we have to do in STEM, regarding STEM in the schools, including the universities, is that we have to come up with a mechanism to support this program. Okay. Further with the science departments, the other issue that I want to talk about is the book project. Remember, I made him know about this. Do you remember the old book I showed you? Now let's go back to that old book. This book is the most famous book. I think I took this picture in 2012. 2012. I came here to give a seminar on space science or something like that, physics. And then always when I go to any place, there are two things I ask. Show me the library, show me the physics department. If the library is good and the physics department is strong, the school is the best. That's it. Yeah, there is one university here that doesn't have a physics department, but the best engineering school. I was there yesterday. Physics is given as a general, because I think they will build the physics department for sure. And he took me to the physics, and then we are flipping the book. Where is the physics department book? I saw this book. Imagine how many hands this book has touched. Every student has touched this book, and everybody fights on this book. All right? And then I took this book, took a picture, and then put it on my social media. I promise I will change this book to some brand new book, you know, the latest edition of that book. And then I think 3 years later, I came back 3 years later and then gave them the new book. The new book is now is like this also again. I said yes to the other day. So.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. I was there. It is there. It is there. The cover is still there. The cover is still there. So, book project in Lazino Misaro. I think we are almost ready. Battalion Science, we may be able to replace it soon. At least reference book. The book project, our current status, let's see. If I have it anywhere, these are some of the links. The last time I checked, that is the site I will share it with you. So what we do is, there is an organization called Books for Africa. They have warehouse full of books, okay? The only thing that we need to bring is one, the shipment cost, plus their overhead, plus they have some cost recovery stuff. So, for example, if we bring one container of book, one container means about 20,000 volumes of books, which is enough for many schools at the same time. It costs us about $20,000. So what we do is, we do little things like this. We have 5K runs, 5 kilometers ብቻ 5 kilometers ብቻ እናደርጋለን። North Carolina, Washington ዲሲ በየቦታው እና ፈንድሬዝ እናደርጋለን። ቲሸርት እየሸጥን ምናምን ፈንድሬዝ እናደርጋለን። And then it says little, the oceans, we have a saying called the oceans began with drop of water. So we encourage young people not to drink soda. We have advertisement. Soda is not good for you. It will make you fat. Just give your soda to this. So we do that. I talked to the people who are managing this site. We are now, they quoted us, by the way. We complained that 20,000 is bad. This year we are going to get it around 17,000. So we are around 12,000 now, 5,000 left. So it may take some time. So what we will do is we will work with Dr. Masharat, the science departments and things like that, biology, for example. And then what we will do is maybe we will bring a few books, of course. Just like we said, how many years ago? 7 years ago. So it takes time to get these books because of this fundraising. Now, no expectation of the creative side, logistics, plus if we encourage the community also to kind of donate books, right here, donate books, even raise funds to support the library. Now, book project, it is a permanent ESAN Educators Without Borders similar. The main project is the book and educational resources. The rest is organizing, getting my friends, my colleagues from all over, right? Just let us drink coffee, right? This is like drinking coffee. We call each other, let's go somewhere, do something, and then plan for next year. For example, next year, maybe you may decide to bring all your friends here to have coffee. Why not? No, why not? It's just an etiquette, right? Yeah, it is expensive, but it's not that far. You know what I mean? It's not that far. It's doable. It's doable. So we do this. This is a book project. The other thing that we do is issues like this are very important. This must change. The other day we had the Ethiopia 2050 conference. I wish that lots of people participated. Unfortunately, by virtue of maybe advertisement, information, many people, decision makers, particularly, did not come. But the information for them, if you want to go to Ethiopia2050.com, you can go to that site and get all the deliberations out of that discussion. It was the most precise, important, serious information. They nailed the problem. They really did. And their idea is 30 years from now, what it is like. So it's highly predictive, and then a bunch of determined people to do it. We had, our group had a small session on STEM education. So the concerns are very simple. In picture, by the way, in Ethiopia in general, you don't need, you may disagree. You may disagree. But for me, as a casual observer, the data is in front of me. Okay. Analyzed and refined is in front of me. I see women doing this. This is what people do. The kids who are supposed to be in school, they are actually fetching water. And also, it is so interesting that you see women mostly. So, girls' education, the limitations of women to succeed is huge in Ethiopia. It's right in front of us, so we have to change it. The other day, in Ethiopia 2050 conference, the best minds of Ethiopia were there. The best. Seriously, the best, right? There were 400 participants, right? As a casual observer, I counted only 40 women. Among the entire scientific and educator group, they were like on the stage, and everybody was asked to come out to the stage and take a picture. The women were just a few, Asar, all the goof, like me. Hey. So we have to change, right? We have to change. And now his major concern. Now, the mother, look at the mother and child. By the way, these are not my pictures. These are just random pictures from the web. And then the web sometimes is useful in showing you the real data. So these are the concerns. These are Ethiopian collecting books, you know. We, in a book project line, we take the books as much as we want from Books for Africa. The other ones, if they are specific, for example, if she says, please bring biology books or something like that, we look around in our university and things like that. These are the books that I collected in my office. And then the kids from the area, the Ethiopians, came and helped me load. And then I drive it to Atlanta. This is when it is unloaded in Ethiopia. The last year we had one thing. So this is a real kid, by the way. I saw her in 2009, probably she's a college student. So, you know, and then some dreams that we have. This is a picture that I made in 2014-15. What we were proposing was to have science on wheels. Science on wheels. What happens is, if we want to equip the labs, particularly physics lab, with equipment, okay, it's challenged by the way, because physics is experiment. We don't need biological stuff. It may not be. We can actually import used equipment and things like that to the school. But the schools are so many, right? How can you possibly do, you know, 100% equipment for every school? It's impossible, right? I have also seen this problem in the universities. For example, when the schools in Ambo, I think Ambo University, if they want to do their physics experiment or something like that, they bus them to another university. Another university. It's unsafe. Why do you want to do that? The solution is this one. You have a bus, right? Or a truck, right? Take the container that you put on the truck, turn it into a lab, a mobile lab. So what you do is, you drive it, you need one technician and a driver, and then you take this thing and park it outside here, right? Let's say. የኮተቤ ተማሪዎች መጡና ኤክስፐሪመንታቸውን ይሰራሉ። እነሱ እንደጨረሱ park there, you park and then go to the next station, the next station. So if you have two buses or two trucks in that can crisscross and you can cover a lot of places. This model is done, by the way, BioBus. There is an organization that has a BioBus. It's called BioBus, which means they have biology labs in their bus. It's just for the community type activity, for general education type activity. But they have electron microscope in there, FEM in there, all those things. Atomic AFM and atomic force microscope. They go around the country. You call them and they go and show and tell. You see, and also there was a bus called the chemistry bus in your area actually. They do chemistry for all the schools, especially in low-income areas. There is also the NASA had a benefit of a space bus. So you can order the bus to come to your campus and they show you everything about the space. Something like that might work. Okay, something like that might work. We don't get the bus, it's kind of expensive, I think, but we can do some convincing, you know, to do, have a mobile, something like that. What else is there? Now, when we want to put everything together, as you can see, there are lots of learned people all over the world. Probably, maybe it is time to think about something like this, where he's a faculty member, you are a faculty, everybody park their course somewhere, right? In some database or something like that with your name and all that stuff, and then people can go and then connect with you as a person, interact with you, and at the same time learn from your course, use your course as a resource. Something like that can be done. You know, like if we have an open college, name it whatever name you want to put. You understand? It's not to replace, you know, I don't know if we can compete with Coursera or something like that. We may not compete. But on the other hand, though, we can use their resources, we can put our resources, and then Ethiopianize it. You understand? That way, when she is looking for somebody to mentor her or something like that, and she can come through this channel, and then, you know, we can help her in terms of how to network and get the resources she needs. Now, regarding Ethiopianization of science and technology, I wish I can show you my Ethiopian chemistry, periodic table. I built a periodic table. I will show you separate. That came about from something that really angered me. You have to be to do something, in my case at least. There was a chemistry workshop for 9th graders. Addis Ababa University and Nottingham University are doing wet chemistry. Okay, so the Nottingham chemistry people want to do outreach for 9th graders in Ethiopia, and these 9th graders this question: name the elements in the periodic table in Amharic. Okay, and then they named them. They named, for example, I think carbon is. Carbon has 6, they gave it, and something that has 12, it is called lalibel or something like that, right? Something that has, I think nitrogen is 13 or 14, and they give it, right? So they have named this, and then the Ethiopian professor who is working with this Nottingham group, just kind of as if it's in the video. And he says, well, there is no Ethiopian language of these elements. I say, this guy is uneducated, he doesn't know. And then I went to start reading. Remember, one of the things that you know about civilization of Ethiopia, remember, there is a debate whether there's something called Ethiopian civilization or not. Ethiopians don't doubt that we have civilization. But in the literature, there's a debate because they say Ethiopia, there's no building named after Ethiopia. Abyssinia, maybe, okay? But we don't believe that. So one of the things, the signature of civilization, for me at least, from what I'm reading, is writing system. That's the first one. It is landmarks and buildings. They are there. Right? We have writing system. We have landmarks and buildings. And then you can measure, or you can actually have something that you can extract out of the language. For example, ancient names. Okay. The ancient elements, the 7 ancient elements like lead and mercury, these are ancient elements, by the way. Iron, copper, gold, silver, these have names. Now, Ethiopians did not borrow names, these names from Greeks or anything. They have their own. Salib, silver, we call it bird. Not the money bird, but silver is bird. Gold is work. Okay? Work. And then lead, እርሳስ mercury ደግሞ ባዚቃ ነው and so on. መዳብ አለ እና ስለዚህ በትግርኛ ብትሄድ በምን ብትሄድ these ancient names are there. Have the language of the ancient names. I don't know. Does it mean that we don't have chemistry? We have chemistry, and this old professor says we don't have the language. The guy didn't know that. That's the problem of education. The education problem. I'll show you. Okay? Just be patient. So we have the language, therefore we have chemistry. If you go to the Gaze literature, in Gaze literature, Ethiopia has 125 named perfumes. So perfume, different names of perfumes, 125 of them. 100 or so names of diamond. So therefore, Ethiopia named diamond by language. Be careful of it. So therefore, which part is that not civilized about us? And what is that we don't know about chemistry? Right? Education. Pay attention to education. Look at this. What do you see? The picture. You see a sketch of a person's inside organs of the mouth, right? That is the picture of the sound box. No one can tell me whether this guy is Chinese or American or Ethiopian or Amhara or Oromo. Can anybody tell? Can anybody tell?